Hey, Chris.
Hi.
So I'm here with Rivera. Can you give Peter Gabriel's fans and David Rhodes' fans a rig rundown of what he's using?
Sure. We're using two KR100s in a stereo configuration. Right. So we run a lot of stereo delays, ping-pong delays, and using a TC delay unit to split the signal so that we can have pan delays.
Right.
And the Riveras, with the facility that we have, send and return, helps us to balance that left and right, and just gives us great flexibility.
And you mentioned he uses the 3 channels. I mean, so he uses all the tones possible of that amp? Or?
Absolutely. In order to basically fit all of David's different parts into the music and to get the dynamic, he needs a lot of presets, different gain structures. So you might have one song where you have a very overdriven signal, but it's not actually that loud, because he wants to fit that into the song. It's all about fitting the parts into the song, really.
Right.
And so with the Rivera having 3 channels, each foot switchable plus the extra boost on the channel as well, gives us effectively 6 different gain levels just at the touch of the switch from the headmaster foot switch.
Sure.
Plus, if you then combine that with David's other pedals on the pedal board and the new Rivera
Shaman pedals.
Shaman. I'm going to go for Shaman.
Yeah, I like Shaman too.
The dual overdrive and the metal Shaman, that gives us just such an enormous range of different dynamics, different distortion levels that you can then fit into each song. The TC we're using is actually quite old. It's an old 2290, but they still have a fantastic sound. We're a bit old school with that.
You mentioned on the metal Shaman he uses the brutality because he likes a lot of bottom end.
Yeah, that's really been fantastic. He really likes to kick in some big dirty sounds.
Right.
And having that, he plays a lot of neck pickup, a lot of low end. And we've had a lot of compliments from the front of house engineers and the monitor engineers of just what a great full sound we're getting at the moment. And I think that has been down to the new Rivera pedals, some of it, definitely. I mean, we're really, really enjoying them. The double Shaman, to give it its correct name,
that's all right,
has just given us another 2 gain structures to go to. And again, you might see him using it, one of them to give drive but not so much volume, another one to give more volume than drive. And
gotcha.
it's also, you've just got all these different levels to go to for each song, and he very much tailors what he plays parts to the song, and he will go to a particular gain setting that he knows, for this part of the bridge, maybe on the chorus, taking up, pulling it down, and it's all about playing a great part to the song, and you need a lot of flexibility, and the Riveras have really given us that. And I'd have to say, I think initially, if you look at them, they look like a big metal monster amplifier.
Yeah.
And really, they're a lot more subtle than that. It's very difficult, I think, for some manufacturers to do overdrive, preamp drive, and keep it clean at the same time and have great tone. There's quite a few out there who you can kind of plug the amp in, you go, and it's tons of distortion, but anything beyond that doesn't really have a lot of scope. Whereas the Riveras really go through the entire range. You have a great clean sound. It's a good sounding amplifier to start with. That's your basic.
Yeah.
And the
that's how we feel too. If you can't get a great clean, you're not going to get a great distortion or overdrive.
Yeah, and you've got to have that. There are certain big manufacturers out there who I sometimes see their amplifiers, and the first thing I do is turn it up, and you turn it away, and it's already taking your head off, and you think, where can I go with this?
Right. You mentioned you also are running it at 50 watts a side, so you're using the low power, because these are 120 watts.
Yeah, that's really more just a limitation of what I'm allowed to get away with on stage.
Sure.
And these days, front of house engineers and monitor engineers are more used to a quieter stage. However, if I was running a big rock band, having that extra, 100 watts would be fantastic. But then again, I think I'm only running the one 4x12 in a stereo configuration at the moment. and to be driving two 12 inches with 100 and lots of low end would be risking shredding some
speakers.
tones.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a great thing to be able to come into a rehearsal situation, start off loud, and everybody can complain and go, "You're too loud." And we can go, "Okay, well look, we can keep the overall shape of the sound, but just back it down." And being able to switch, and you can even go down to 12 on those.
Yeah,
which, you know, for some other applications, you do the odd show where you might be in a small club setting or something like that, and you want the same flexibility. You want all those different switchings, but you want the whole thing quieter. Switch the switch, works great. So that, that's, I think.
Can you tell the audience we didn't pay you to say any of this?
No, you didn't. It comes from experience. I do a lot with guitar amplifiers. I do a lot of vintage amps. I do a lot of servicing, and I'm around that kind of world. So I get to see the internals of a lot of amplifiers. And again, to go back, there are some big manufacturers who should actually be holding their heads in shame. Because you open them up and what you see inside is a lot of nasty PCB-mounted stuff, which is flimsy. And if you're going to buy a guitar amp, tone first, but secondly, forget anything about the features. The thing, what you need this thing to do, if you're going to do this professionally, is you need to be able to throw it in a flight case at the end of the night, every night, night in, night out, from South America to China, in all conditions, and to get it out the next day, sit it on the cab and it to run.
There is no time for repairs.
No, at least we have never, and in my predecessors, in 10 or more years, I think, of using these, not once have we had a problem.
You just jinxed it.
Yeah, I know. I think I'd said something like that last night, actually. And the TC blew up.
No, but the fact that we said it out loud, that counterbalances that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, but seriously, it's the actual build quality. You open a Rivera amp up, and I know what I'm looking at, and I can see that this is a quality piece of engineering.
Right.
The engineering is solid underneath it, which is, I'm a big fan of that. I like my old kind of power amp driven tube amps with point-to-point wiring, which are great, and I like to see a modern amp that takes some essences of that, some of the more modern techniques, but actually builds it properly.
Right.
That's what you see. It doesn't look to me when I open up a Rivera that's corners are being cut. And the manufacturing, and a lot of like I said, some of the big names, who I won't mention, are really cutting some nasty corners, I think, with components.
Well, unfortunately, especially making them overseas, and for production, they got to cut corners. For mass production.
And that will come back to bite you eventually as well.
I believe that.
We see a lot of them in the workshop here, and they come in. There's one particular brand comes in all the time with the same problem every time, and we know. And you get,
it wasn't built. They weren't built for the road. They were built for hobbyists.
Yeah, they were. So I think it's important. It's important that manufacturing is still maintained. And manufacturing integrity, and you manufacture here in the States.
Yep.
Which is a great thing. It's maintaining.
We have tight and close control because we're right there.
Yeah, maintaining that kind of level of stuff, I think, is really important. A lot of manufacturing and a lot of skill base is going. So the more we keep it. But having said that, I think the boutique amp kind of world it's coming up again. So there's kind of a lot of smaller manufacturers who are doing small production runs.
Right.
And it's nice to see it. But
just like guitar builders too.
Yeah, I think it's great. Main weapons of choice are Les Paul, which is actually one of the first generations of the robot guitar.
Oh yeah.
So that gives you a whole bunch of preset automated tunings.
Right.
And there is one section of the show where he switches from an E flat to a dadgad in between songs, and it's fast enough. But a lot of neck pickup, a lot of body, and a lot of bottom end, and he plays a lot of that. The old Les Paul, the old gold top with the P90s is a great sound.
What could go wrong with that?
Yeah, it really is. It's classic. David's been using that for I think about 10 years or so. Great guitar. Trussart Steel Telecaster, just a beautiful instrument. really is fantastic. Sounds great, and it's a lovely instrument to play.
Real work of art there.
Yeah, great quality, great character, and it seems to get better. It's one of those guitars that gets better with every year. The most interesting, actually, the most indestructible guitar we have is this, which is, I believe, I might be wrong about this, but it's actually a prototype. I don't think many of these were actually made. This is a 12-string Steinberger.
It's a long old way for us to run that cable today.
But as far as working on the road, it's an absolute work of engineering genius. It doesn't go out of tune. You can change the strings on it in about 15 minutes flat because they're double ball end.
Yes.
But it has this absolutely fantastic tuning device here. Whereas rather than having an individual knob for each string,
sure,
this one you pull out, slide along to the string of your choice and tune.
That is extremely innovative.
And also, because it's made of a modern composite,
sure,
it's indestructible. You could throw this off the truck.
Wow.
And it would live.
Sounds like the piano's in tune.
Yeah, I think he's getting there.
The Bosendorf.
Apart from that, what else do we have? We have a Levinson, an early 90s blade. Again, I'm a fan of good engineering. That's a great piece of Swiss engineering. And it's been using this on one tune particularly just for the whammy bar, really. Doing a lot of the deep vibrato with a very deep distortion and a bass boost on here as well. And that sounds really stunning. In fact, with the Metal Shaman, bass boost and the brutality, and then this deep vibrato, it's a big, dirty and dark sound, and it really is fantastic. Fernandez sustain for the sustain. It's got that endless sustain on the switch from the sustainer pickup. So, and he uses this in one song in the show, very, very prevalently. Again with a lot of whammy bar and just creating a kind of huge, dirty, screaming noise.
David's a real artist, isn't he?
Yeah, he makes great noises. And at this shows we've got, for the first time in a while, actually an early acoustic section as well. And David Sanchez also plays an acoustic at the beginning of the set. We've got an early Japanese Takamine, which actually is a really good quality instrument. It's good quality wood. It's before they moved their production to China. It's probably 10, 15 years old. It's a really nice standard Martin, very sweet. And we have a 12-string, one of the backing singers, a very talented lady called Jenny, plays on Salisbury. Just to add that extra kind of chime on top of David's 12-string part.